Good morning and welcome back to our Business Beyond the Beach talk show with Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce in partnership with our friends here at Miami Community Newspapers. My name is Brittnie Bassant. I'm the President and CEO for the Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce. And today I'm here with Michael S. Goldberg with First Horizon Bank. Michael, if you can introduce yourself for our audience.
Good morning, Britt. Michael Goldberg. I'm Senior Vice President, Private Client Group Manager. I oversee the Miami Beach Private Client Group for First Horizon Bank.
You've been in the banking industry for a while now, right?
35 years.
35 years. It's amazing. But beyond being in the banking industry for 35 years, you are a Miami Beach native. You were born and raised, grew up on the beach. What's your fondest memories of Miami Beach?
I am born and raised in Miami Beach, and I've had the pleasure of working in my hometown for my entire 35-year banking career, which is really cool, on 41st Street. My elementary school is on 41st Street, my junior high, my senior high down the street. And being born and raised in Miami Beach, I love a couple quick memories are going to the Fountain. People may not know this, but there used to be a bowling alley and an ice skating ring there. So as a kid, that's where we would go on the weekends.
How fun to just be a kid growing up in Miami Beach and you spend your weekends at the Fountain Blue. I mean, what an incredible lifestyle that must be.
Yeah, it was exciting. The demographics were a little bit different. I said the town was a little bit more laid back. But Miami Beach is great. I love it, and I've been blessed. I was blessed to be born and raised.
And so you mentioned your elementary school, you mentioned your high school, your North Beach Elementary, and then you went to Beach High. And so you've really kind of, like you said, seen the city grow and evolve and change. And how has it really changed since you were a kid growing up to now working there?
Well, it's funny. Actually, 3 generations of our family are Beach High graduates. My dad, who's 91, he'll be 92 this year, graduated Beach High in 1951. I'm the youngest of 3. I graduated in 1981, and my kids were 3rd generation Beach High graduates. My son, Alec, was 2015, and my daughter, Lauren, was 2017. So, it's changed a lot. There's been a lot of growth, as you know, a lot of development. We've been the beneficiary of a lot of northeastern New York people coming down, relocating here, California. But it's been great. And from a business standpoint, it's really great, and it's been thriving. And to be involved with the chamber for 30 plus years, basically my entire banking career, and really work with the businesses and the residents on the quality of life and everything that goes on Miami Beach has really been very rewarding to me to give back to a community that was very good to 3 generations of the Goldberg family.
So you've mentioned this a couple of times now, family, right? 3 generations. You talked about your dad, Barton, and you have a really unique piece of legacy with the chamber in that you and your dad are the only father-son combo to have ever served as chair of the organization. Your dad served as chair. I don't remember the year. You'll tell me in a minute. And then you served as chair of the chamber. So talk a little bit about that. What did that mean for you to be able to follow in your father's footsteps that way?
So you stole my thunder. Yes, I was going to mention that. My dad was chairman of the board from 1974 and 1976. He was the founder and President Jefferson, one of the founders and President Jefferson National Bank. And then I joined the board when I got into banking, and it was cool because he was actually still on the board. So we actually both were, sitting at board meetings.
Oh, wow. So how fun.
Really got to learn. You got to learn from the best, my dad, who was a great mentor. And then ultimately I took over chairmanship in 2013 through 2016. So you're right. It's the only time in the 100-year history of the chamber a father and son have chaired the Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce, which is really cool. And we actually honored my father, as you know, Britt, I guess it was 3 years ago, and gave him the Jan Pfeiffer Lifetime Achievement Award. And it was really cool. I had the chance to walk him up to that podium and be up there with him when he accepted it. And it's very rewarding, very lucky to have my dad. He's still living on Miami Beach 85 years later. And just, it's been great to have him by my side. And he was a great mentor to me. But I never worked for his bank. I decided I wanted to do it on my own and went to work for a different bank, and he always appreciated that.
You guys were parallel, but never at the same, which is amazing.
You're laughing, but we actually were competitors.
No.
I started banking in 1989. I went through Barnett Bank's training program. Took about a year and a half, but when I was done with the program, they put me as a branch manager on 41st Street, where the Bank of America is there now. That was a Barnett Bank branch right across the street from Jefferson National Bank's headquarters, where my dad was. And my marching orders from the Barnett executives were, go get your dad's business. Wasn't easy. Didn't get that much of it. Got a little bit.
Did
got
your
a little
dad
bit.
know?
Of course. We would have lunch. We would have lunch once a month up in his executive dining room. So it was really cool. We were kind of head to head. It was a friendly competition.
And speaking of learning from your dad, he was chair of the chamber, he was chairman of the board. You were on the board while he was also on the board, but then you also assumed the chairmanship. We just talked about all of this. But what were some of the biggest challenges and also accomplishments that you were able to experience during your time as chairman of the board of the Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce?
Oh God, the 3 years, actually, I didn't say the 3 years as chair. I think I was the longest tenured chairman. And it's normally a 2-year term, but I wound up serving 3 years for some other reasons.
When you've got something good, you want to keep it a little
well,
bit
you
longer,
got things in
Michael.
motion. You got things in motion, but there's really two things that right off the bat can tell you that were very, very rewarding. 2013, we started the Heroes Breakfast. Jerry Libin, who was the president CEO at the time, a new police chief came to town, and he said, he has this program that he's done where he came from. He came from Aurora, Colorado, Chief Oates, and asked if Jerry and I were interested in doing that. And we kicked it off in 2013. It's where we honor our first responders, police, fire, a couple other divisions, and it was very rewarding. And to this day, as you know, Britt, we still do that first responders and honor them. And it is very touching, and they are so appreciative that we hold this big breakfast every single year, and we get in excess of 200, 300 people at that event to thank them for their service.
I mean, I personal privilege. I think everything that we do at the chamber is extremely meaningful and impactful, but you are completely right. That breakfast is very, very, very special to our community, especially on Miami Beach. And the level of gratitude and appreciation that we have for our first responders, I think, cannot be understated. So that's incredible to know that you played a hand in getting that started, and what an incredible legacy. So. Yeah. Speaking of, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say there's a second thing, and I'll be brief on this. Jerry Livin at the time approached me with something called the Links Project, where we have an education foundation, as you know, Brittany. And the Links Project is funny because my son was a senior at Beach High at the time. We created Links, and Miami Beach Senior High is very close proximity to the Miami Beach Chamber, as you know, maybe less than a quarter of a mile. So we sold links at $50 a link, and we sold enough links that we actually shut down the street in between on Dade Boulevard, and we had a whole ceremony where we had students come out and we joined the links from Miami Beach Senior High to the chamber. And what it did, it raised money for our Miami Beach Education Foundation, and it showed the strong bond and relationship between the Miami Beach Chamber and our Education Foundation and Miami Beach Senior High. But the cool thing was my son kind of took the lead on the student side because he was a senior at Beach High in helping to, engage the parents and get parents to buy links. And that provided teacher grants that we give to this day. Every year we have a program where teachers apply for grants, as you know. So very, very rewarding. And just real quick, probably one of the biggest challenges was post-pandemic. As you know, we were doing everything on Zoom, and the pandemic was over. How do you build a relationship? It's hard to do it on Zoom. So we steered away from a lot of the Zoom meetings and in-person meetings. And it was a little bit challenging because, some people are more comfortable just rolling out of bed and getting on a Zoom call. But as you know, we've overcome that obstacle as a team, and through Richard Siegel, his leadership as chair, and you, in getting people to come back to our events, which are robust and they're great. And anyone that's not a chamber member needs to sign up or come to one of our events. We'll give you a free taste, right? We give you one free taste, and I guarantee you're going to want to get engaged with the chamber.
It's always so much fun sitting down and chatting with Michael because he really has the ability to wear so many hats at the same time. He's wearing his First Horizon hat, but he always wears his chamber hat. And there's another hat that you wear really well too, and that's with Mount Sinai, because you have an incredible relationship with Mount Sinai, another place where there's a lot of legacy with you and with your family. So talk to me a little bit about your involvement with Mount Sinai.
So yeah, it's funny. I'm on the Mount Sinai Medical Center Foundation board. We just had our meeting yesterday. So when I'm out in the community, people ask how long have I been involved with Mount Sinai? I say since July 16th, 1963. Why is that? Well, that's the day I was born at Mount Sinai. I grew up literally.
Giving away your age here,
yeah,
Michael.
I know. I literally grew up 3 blocks down the street. My kids were born there, and I'm a founder. My family's society members. My dad has been involved with Mount Sinai for over 65 years, and he was actually still on the board. He was with me yesterday at the meeting, which is really cool. So it's so, and the foundation, we raise money to help and support the medical center, and what they do. We're one of the largest non-for-profit teaching hospitals in Florida, and there's a lot of great things that the hospitals do, and it's so rewarding to be able to give back to Mount Sinai and Miami Beach that has been so good to 3 generations of the Goldberg family, and I'll keep doing it as long as I can. And I also want to thank my bank, I never do really. I always plug the chamber in Mount Sinai, but I want to thank the bank because I could not do it without the resources that First Horizon provides me, and allows me the time because, as you know, it's a very big time commitment to do what I do and giving back to the community. But I'm living the dream, and I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can.
So let's talk about First Horizon for a little bit. Let's give them a little bit of airtime here. So a lifelong career in the banking industry, of course. Your dad did it, and you followed in his footsteps. But apart from that connection with your father, was there something else that drew you to banking, and that you were like, I have to get involved with this industry, and this is what I want to make my career?
It's so rewarding. Barnett's training program, which is about a year and a half training program, really puts you through all the facets of being a banker. I mean, you literally train to be a teller, you go be a teller. You learn how to open up accounts, you open up accounts. Not that you're going to be a teller. So that's the retail side. Then they put you through the lending side and credit training, and then you find your niche. And I found my niche was being out in the community, going out, leading a team, bringing in the business and taking good care of our clients. And I love that. So that's my passion, to be able to, take someone, have them as a client, help them buy their dream home, purchase their dream home, help their business grow and have them have a liquidity event and see the business sold. I've had some clients have sold their businesses for quite a lot of money that I was there when they didn't even have two nickels to rub together. And then when they sell their business, they allow us to introduce them to my, wealth and financial planning team. So we manage their money, we help them with their financial planning. So it comes around circle. Being in banking so long, it's so rewarding when I see my clients succeed because of the partnership they created with me and the bank, to allow them to grow and then have that liquidity event and then allow us to make sure, we handle that money and make sure they have enough money to live for the rest of their life. So it's very, very, very rewarding taking them from A to B over, a certain number of years.
That's absolutely incredible and speaks to your passion. It's really not just a job for you. It's a career. It's a lifestyle. It's something that you have completely, no pun intended, because we're Miami Beach, but you've dived right into it and you've made it your own and you use it as a platform to help others, which I think is amazing. So because you have such an extensive career in banking, what's the one piece of advice that you find yourself giving businesses, especially when you meet them through the chamber or as a client? What's that sound piece of Michael Goldberg advice in the banking side that you give?
When you're a business owner, first of all, I envy any business owner and entrepreneur because, with risk comes reward. It's a little scary. I'm lucky that I've been in a job where, look, I know my paycheck's coming in every 2 weeks. But when you're an entrepreneur and you have a business, you've got to make it happen. If you don't do business, you can't pay your bills. So it's really important that they partner with a good banker to make sure they work with them to help them through those tough times. I was lucky I had a mentor, my dad, who mentored me through banking, but business owners really, people ask me, who are the type of clients that you have or look for? It's really people that still want to have a relationship with their banker because as we know, banking's gotten a little bit commoditized. You got to provide value, in the private client group. And what we do at First Horizon is, it's not a 9-to-5 job. We're accessible to our clients 24/7.
I know.
Literally, that. On the weekends, at nights, and that's important to some people. And those are our clients. It's kind of quality, not quantity. Look, if you ask my kids the name of their banker, they won't know. You ask a lot of people what's the name of their banker, they won't know. You ask any of our clients in our private client group here at Miami Beach, they'll know probably my whole team. As you know, Britt.
Absolutely.
And that's really the value added. You've got to have a good financial team as a business entrepreneur to help you get through those tough times.
Michael, you and I share a philosophy when it comes to business and when it comes to networking and when it comes to being involved in the community, whether it's through a chamber, whether it's through philanthropy, whether it's just through your career. And I think, I don't know if you want to say it, if you want me to say it, but it's build the relationship first.
You're going to take my mantra. Yes. So when I was chairman, I came up and I said this at every event. And when you're the chairman of the board, as Britt knows, you're up there running the event in conjunction with the president and CEO. And the mantra I used was build a relationship and the business will come. And just keep saying that because the biggest mistake anyone makes in networking, and what I love at this point in my career and so much more with the chamber and the networking I do is to help new chamber members that come on board because they'll come to an event. And then, I'll see them at another event and says, well, I didn't get any business at that event. I says, look, that's not how it works. 75% of the people you meet, you probably can't do business with. But the biggest mistake people make is they discount those people. So what I do is coach them and mentor them to say, build a relationship. Let them know about your business. Ask them about them, how you can help them. don't go for the jugular when matter of fact, I almost never, when I meet someone, say, hey, who do you bank with? Let me tell you why you need to bank with me. That's not the way to do it.
Absolutely.
Build the relationship and the business will come.
Absolutely.
Matter of fact, one of our past chairs, Robin Jacobs, gave me a mug that's on my desk that says that. Build a relationship and the business will come.
I will share a fun story. When I was interviewing for the position for President and CEO, Michael was on the search committee with that group, and I stood in front, I think, of the entire board at one point, and I said those same words. My philosophy is, you build the relationship first, the business will come. And Michael just kind of got this little smirk on his face, and he was nudging the person next to him, like, I don't know what's going on here. And they're like, oh, Britt, you just said the right thing.
Someone must have tipped you off. They knew I was on the committee.
And
you use my macho. But listen, it's not rock science, and that's what we do at the chamber. And for all the people that are watching, again, we've reinvented the chamber. When we interviewed Brittnie and we hired her, and Richard Siegel became our chair, we basically said, you got a blank slate. Okay, we had to reinvent the chamber post-pandemic, and it was a clean slate, and we've done it. With Rich and you and our leadership and our board members. I'm excited, as you can tell.
And we're having fun.
You can see the passion that I have.
Yeah.
I go to every event. I've got all my people that on my team engaged with the chamber, and we're going to keep going. We're going to bring it to another level. But it's a lot of hard work. But it's a great chamber to be involved with. And again, anyone that's watching that's not a member, please reach out to Britt, reach out to the team. Reach out to me.
Reach out to Michael. He'll if I keep him talking, he'll eventually give you his cell phone number.
Well, my joke when I was a chairman was, I couldn't do banking business during chamber hours.
There you go. Right. It became your part time.
So I joke with Richard Siegel, our chairman now, saying, Richard, are you doing? Who's an attorney, great law firm. You're not working during chamber hours. So, listen, you got to balance
running
the two.
Joke. Yeah.
You get out of it what you put into it.
Always.
The culmination of me being in the chamber was sitting around that table for 30 years, and it was literally, as you know, Britt, we talked about this, 70-80% of my day was that.
Yes.
I joked to Jerry Libin, as you know, our CEO, we joked in the morning, he was the first person I spoke to 3 times during the day before I went to bed.
Yeah.
Spoke to him more than I did my wife. And I'm sure you do the same with Richard Siegel.
Absolutely.
You don't have to say it because you're not being interviewed. You don't have to reveal that.
My one thing to Michael this morning before we got on camera, I was like, no, Michael, you can't ask me questions. It's reversed today. But yeah, no, we do. We have a great relationship with all of our board members. We're so incredibly grateful for the amount of time that these amazing individuals in the community, Michael, Richard, anyone on my board that they've invested into the chamber. And so we're really, really, really lucky, and we're growing and we're having so much fun with it. And I think
by the way,
really
I'll give our chair-elect a plug, Alfredo Gonzalez, because I already gave Rich a plug. Really looking forward to that, because Alfredo has been around there not as long as me, because he's younger than me, but he's a high tide. He's a Beach High graduate too. But he was there when I was chairman, and we had some issues we had to go through, and Alfredo was there to support me, and I will be there to support him, just like I have with Rich or any of other our leadership. As you know, I'll be there to support them.
The one thing that we have at the Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce, I think, is legacy. A lot of legacy. When people get involved with our organization, they stay involved. And I think that's a testament of a strong organization, a good place to be. We've got great people doing great work. And so I'm so grateful to be a part of that. We got to wrap up at some point. I can stay here and chat with Michael all day. So I'm just going to move into a couple of quick lightning round questions. So if you had to describe Miami Beach in 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
So that would be sun, fun, and paradise.
Sun, fun,
We live in paradise. People travel from all over the world to come to Miami Beach.
I was hoping that you would have kept it going, like sun, fun, and maybe run.
I couldn't think of the third one, so I just kind of thought. But it is we're blessed. We're blessed, and as you know, you're a stakeholder and you're a resident of Miami Beach.
I am.
So, and it is. We're lucky to be where we are and be in the position we are, and work with our mayor and commissioners on issues affecting the residents and the quality of life, which is another part of what we do, Britt, that a lot of people don't know. They think we're just all about business, but we do look at issues that affect the quality of life of the residents. And you as a resident know that and appreciate that. We're all involved in the community. I chair the Zoning Board of Adjustment for the city of Miami Beach, and most of our leadership, have a role or on one of the city boards. So we do we do care about the residents.
Very active citizen involvement. Okay, so speaking of residents, we're going to make everyone that's listening Miami Beach resident, honorary Miami Beach resident, because you are going to give them a secret tip. You're going to give them a local spot because you are a chicken Parmesan connoisseur. And so what's your tip for someone looking to experience the real local resident side of Miami Beach?
Wow. So, it's funny because 35 years ago, a restaurant opened up on 41st Street called Cafe Avante.
Mm-hmm.
Luis Fuentes, Jessica's daughter, wasn't around yet, but now she's joined him. And, I believe it is the 3rd longest running restaurant on Miami Beach.
Wow.
And they're on 41st Street. So obviously, between my dad and I, we've handled their banking since they opened up the restaurant.
You've probably also just contributed to them being open all these years.
Well, we've shared a chicken parm there a couple of times, Britt. But yeah, best chicken parm you can get. It's hometown. It's local. As you know, I go there all the time, and we can walk in there and we'll see friends, clients. We'll see chamber members. And, kudos to them. Another example, as a banker, it's so rewarding that between my dad, his bank, and me have handled their banking and see them be so successful. It just, you want to cry when you see that, because the restaurant business is tough.
It's so
They
tough.
survived the pandemic, and they've reinvented. And it's not just the client, the residents that lived in Miami Beach for years. It's the new people that have relocated. It's getting them in to understand you got a great restaurant right on 41st Street. So we're due for a chicken parm anyway. We're due for a chicken parm.
You're making me hungry, and it's just morning.
Not tonight. Not tonight. It's my wife's birthday. I got a dinner for her tonight.
Oh, can we give a shout out?
Yeah, happy birthday, Christine.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's absolutely so sweet. Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up. My last question to you is, if you can go back and talk to little baby Michael Goldberg, your younger self, what advice would you give?
Everyone has a mentor. You need mentors, and that's why I enjoy at this part of my life. I mentor people. I'll meet a chamber member, and they'll call me and they'll want to meet with me, and I'll mentor them as to what to do. Again, I was lucky. My mentor was my dad, and my joke is he mentored me to teach me banking. To basically, when he still was in the business, so the joke was he taught me how to steal his business, which I could never steal his business, because he made loans in the days when you did handshake loans and, character loans, which is a little bit different now. And you're never going to have all the answers, and don't be afraid to say you don't. I'm in banking 35 years. Literally almost every week, a client will call me and ask me a question, and I'm not sure, and be upfront and honest. I said, I'm not sure, but let me find out for you. The world moves quickly, technology, all of our industries have changed, and never be afraid to say you don't have an answer. And again, this is a takeaway from my dad. Always be upfront and honest, and you got a client for life.
It's simple. It's so simple, but it's a beautiful reminder that sometimes honesty is the best policy, and just be yourself, be relatable. You talked about mentorship. One of my biggest philosophies is that nobody accomplishes anything alone, and you are only as good as people that you surround yourself with. So make sure that you surround yourself with really good people like Michael.
By the way, huge. Give my team a kudo. The team that has been around me, and some of them for a lot of years. You're right. I can't do it by myself. I'm out all the time, and they're there taking care of the clients, and some of them are out in the community with me. So you're right. You surround yourself with good people is a good takeaway.
Absolutely. Well, Michael, this has been an absolute pleasure. It's been a blast. Thank you so much for joining us. That's a wrap on our Business Beyond the Beach talk show. Again, Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce in partnership with our friends here at Miami Community Newspapers. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Britt.